VDOT, and then we heard from the community and our board that you guys wanted things changed up. So we took the time to take a step back, relook at the VDOT analysis, have our consultants take a look at an analysis. At the same time, as you all know, the project that's happening next door here, that the interchange at 123 and I-95 is being redone by VDOT. We're trying to make sure that we had a seamless connection to that project as we were designing this project to make sure that we were doing it appropriately to what VDOT was designing. With that said, we do have VDOT representatives here that can talk a little bit about that project, but they will be having a public hearing on that project next week. On this project, this is just the very beginning. We are literally looking at a concept here today. There's no design behind this. It's geometric. We're looking at a good engineering, but at a concept plan. We don't know what's underground. We don't know what the utilities are. We don't know what we can create. There's going to be tweaks from here, what we do and what we don't do. But there's things here that need to be completed and need to be done to be able to move forward. The first step is getting a concept that the county can move forward and engineer on. And this is what we're going to talk about today. Now, how did we get here again? That VDOT study and the study that was done by before that. But where are we now? We're looking at a concept that was looked upon by our engineers to compare not only what VDOT had done in the past, but what the community had given us. I know that some of you have received that letter that we received from the community today, and we took that letter into consideration. This is the reason we're here today, because we took that letter into consideration and are trying to understand the essence of what the community wants. Today we're going to talk about safety, we're going to talk about throughput, and that's what we initially talked about with VDOT. And what we're going to continue to talk about and what we are going to discuss with you today is access and right-of-way impacts. And minimizing that, because that's what we heard is important to the community. So that's what we're coming back with you here today. With that, I would like to introduce a couple of our supervisors that are here today. First, the Occoquan supervisor, the Occoquan district supervisor, Mr. Kenny Boddye is here today. And I'm going to let him, there we go. I'm going to let him stand up and give us a couple of remarks here to start our meeting off. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rick. Thank you everyone for coming out. As Rick said, this is a great turnout. We don't have to be meetings about the community wanting to be here, so really appreciate you all coming out today. Again, I'm Occoquan Supervisor Kenny Boddye. This is a project that's been a long time coming. We know that there's been concerns that have been shared with my office, with our transportation department in the past about the trajectory it was taking with the VDOT and the STAR study that was done before. And so we decided to take a pause. We talked to our transportation department a few months ago after we started getting all those concerns and folks were sharing that feedback with us. So we said, hey, let's take a pause, let's take a step back, let's look at the other options we may get as we go through this process. And wanted to also give kudos to the coalition, the 123 coalition, for giving us that and giving us really good designs to take a look at melding what's possible from an engineering standpoint to the aspirational goals of the community there. So this is all a sausage-making process that we're going through right now. As Rick said, we're very early on the process. Nothing has been set in stone or designed fully yet, so this is a great opportunity to share from what you're seeing now, what's good, what's bad, what needs work, what we can live with, and how we move forward together. At the end of the day, we want to reimagine this intersection in a way that's safer, has better throughput, cuts down the congestion and traffic, and gets people through this area a lot quicker, but a lot safer as well. Again, while also minimizing the impacts and access issues that we know that people are concerned about. Again, thank you so much for coming out. Looking forward to the conversation, and really appreciate your participation. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Boddye. Again, we also have Supervisor Lawson from the Brentsville District here today. Very interested in this project and so I want to acknowledge her. Thank you very much for coming, Supervisor. And with that, I'd like to get started here. We're going to have a couple people talk to you tonight. First, Ron from our office. He is the engineer that is in charge of the project here in Prince William County. He is running the project with our consultants at RDA. Mark Dunn is here today to discuss the technicalities of what they looked at as part of the input you gave us, as part of the input that we had from VDOT to come up with the solutions that you've seen up on the board here tonight. So with that said, Rami, thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Ron Baslami, Prince William County Department of Transportation, the principal engineer for this project on the Prince William County side. So before I hand it off to Mark to talk more in depth about the design, I want to give a brief background on the project that started this whole. The I-95 corridor improvement plan looked at the larger I-95 transportation network and looked for areas of recommendation that require further analysis and design with the intended goal to deliver faster, safer, more reliable transportation throughout the I-95 transportation network. And two of those locations identified was the I-95 Route 123 interchange and the neighboring Route 123 Old Bridge Road intersection. This led to the STAR study that was conducted by VDOT in cooperation with Prince William County with the intended goal to develop starting points for projects to improve those two locations. Again, it was looking at it from a operations perspective and a safety perspective. Following the STAR study, two projects were initiated. The first one is the I-95 Route 123 Interchange Improvement Project, which on the boards is the one outlined in blue. It's adjacent to our project. It's VDOT administered. It's not the subject of this public information meeting, but we are coordinating closely with VDOT and ensuring a cohesive design when we tie in our project to that project. It is fully funded, the design is ongoing, and if you're interested in more information on that, you can attend the public information meeting, which will be held virtually next week on September 28th. And the construction will be estimated to be completed December 2027. The other project is the project that we're here for today, which is the Route 123 Old Bridge Road Interchange Improvement Project. And we are currently partially funded through currently using local funds. We will anticipate receiving federal funds to advance to the next stages, but currently right now we're only in the very early stages. In this project, we are using the STAR study as a starting point and using the existing challenges from that they laid out and the recommendations that they laid forth, as well as the inputs from the community.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to take wrong the other thing, but I did get asked to do one thing and I forgot to do it. I got asked to say that we found some keys and it was next to a gray or silver Chevy truck. So if you are missing your keys, please don't, they're right up here. Sorry, Ron, my fault. Front row.
So this project, as stated earlier, is using the STAR study as a starting point, and we are using the intended, we're seeking solutions to the current problems that were existing here today. Namely, these three are, the first one, the weaving problem coming from I-95 southbound ramp, turning left into Old Bridge Road. We have a significant weave through there, and that's something that we're intending to solve with this project. The other existing condition that we're dealing with is the queues that propagate on Route 123 coming to the I-95 ramps. A lot of times, especially in the morning, we have a heavy backflow of traffic there. It's not very over capacity. And the third problem is the backup of traffic on Old Bridge Road itself, trying more commonly turn right into 123 southbound, getting onto I-95. And it should be a surprise to most that safety is a primary concern while addressing all these problems. So we take that at very high consideration. And going back to the STAR study, they started off with 20 alternative concepts, and they refined it down to 4 for more in depth. And we looked at those 4 with a fresh set of eyes and refined them further, as well as taking input from the community. And with that, I'd like to hand it off to Mark to talk more about the design.
Thanks, Rami. My name is Mark Gunn. I'm with VDOT-designed Associates. We are the engineer performing this preliminary design analysis for the county. And as Rami mentioned, what we've been tasked to do is really come in and reanalyze what had been done to date through the STAR study, to really scrutinize and evaluate the recommendations that came in from the community, but more than anything, revisit everything that's been done to date in an effort to reduce the property impacts and improve access that was displayed on all previous alternatives. So I'd like to walk through what we've done to date and where we stand as far as the development of the concept goes. As Rami mentioned, these next graphics are the 4 alternatives that were considered in more detail by the STAR study. They were an elevated left turn option, the grade separated option, and then 2 flyover options. One referred to as the outside, meaning that the flyover ramp would depart from the east side of Route 123 and come down on the outside of Old Bridge Road. The outside inside, which ended up being the preferred option through the STAR study. The one difference here, I'm going to move over toward the screen. The difference here is that the right turn from southbound 123 to Old Bridge is outside of that flyover ramp. From a traffic perspective, this performs better than the outside option. And part of our work has been to revisit all of those alternatives that were studied by VDOT. Again, with the effort of improving them, refining them, in order to find a better solution that will serve the community, maintain access, and minimize impacts to both business and residential communities. One of our big efforts over the last few months here has been to take the concept that was provided by the coalition and really study it, determine feasibility, and try to evaluate what we can take from that and move it into the concepts that we were developing. We do have a detailed exhibit on the board here over on the left side of the room that I was able to discuss with some of the folks, and I'll touch on the highlights. Basically, what this option involved was taking Route 123 underneath, excavating down and taking Route 123 underneath, maintaining the left turn from northbound 123 to Old Bridge, maintaining that at about the same elevation it is today, and taking a flyover from Old Bridge to northbound 123. And we've got some graphics that will show that a bit better. This was the profile of the concept that was developed. So when we took this, we really had to dig into it and make sure that basically what we were doing is replicating the concept that was provided, but making adjustments to it as needed to make sure it would be approvable, met all geometric standards, and really see what that footprint ended up like after we finished that analysis. And we did find some significant concerns with it. Substandard geometry, both horizontal and vertical in some areas. We have very rigid standards that we need to meet as we lay out the design for a state and federal project such as this. We also identified some areas where the weave that we're trying to solve was not going to be addressed adequately. And there were a lot of access issues that we identified. And I'll say, when we did apply our geometric standards to it, the footprint got bigger than what was provided to us on the initial concept provided by the coalition. The result was several entrance closures that would need to be made. Several were identified in that concept. And probably one of the biggest issues that we see with the concept is constructability and maintenance of traffic. In order for us to be able to make that excavation to lower 123 adequately, that construction area would be so wide and take up so much space that we don't see it being feasible to maintain northbound, southbound, and left turning traffic at the main intersection during construction. This exhibit, which is also on the board over on the left side there, represents our development of essentially the coalition concept. And you can see from this exhibit The additional impacts, there's actually several impacts at the north end of the project that would result as a result of that underpass and coming back up. It actually impacts to some of the residential at the landing, as well as additional impacts to access over at the mooring entrance and the adjacent intersections. Furthermore, the access over at the marina and the gas station, both would come out and be on that ramp heading to Moorings. So I really feel that that would be inadequate access being provided to those businesses. We see an increase in overall property impacts, and I think a reduction in adequate access versus what we've been able to develop. But we do appreciate everything that was provided to us, and we have, as was mentioned, really tried to take the spirit of this, and that is maintaining access or improving access versus the STARS alternatives, and also minimizing business and property impacts. And this drawing shows, as we laid out that alternative, the coalition concept, as we're referring to it, it shows the limits of that excavation that would be needed in order to take 123 down and under. So again, our mission and our direction from the county staff has been to develop an alternative that's going to achieve the goals of the project, being the traffic operations and safety goals, while focusing really on developing something that's approvable by VDOT, but also that reduces those impacts to businesses and improves access wherever possible. And our considerations anytime we get into a study like this, we've got to meet our VDOT and county standards. We've got traffic constraints as we develop these. We test them against the traffic models to make sure that what we're doing is going to operate properly. Also, a big part of it is what we hear from you all, both up to now, tonight, and in future meetings. So we do want as much, we really appreciate everyone coming out, and please send us your comments. Finally, constructability, as I mentioned, as we were evaluating that other concept, constructability and maintenance of traffic during construction is a huge consideration for us. And finally, cost is always a concern. So as we got through the evaluation and revisiting all of those 20 concepts that VDOT had previously studied, as well as investigating other fresh concepts on our own, we really did arrive at the alternatives, those two flyover options, outside, and outside, inside, as they're referred to. Those really are the superior options. And so what we set out to do was take each of those and really look to improve them any way we could. This is a representation of the outside. I'm going to focus on the inside, because this is the one that from a traffic perspective performs better, particularly along Old Bridge Road. I'm going to move back over towards the display here. So the similar to what I described with the constructability issues with the coalition concept that we developed, we saw some similar issues with the VDOT flyover option. It's a very tight corridor, as you all know. We have 3 southbound lanes, 2 northbound lanes, and 3 turning lanes. We've got to maintain those during construction. So we've got a fairly limited construction area to work with. The way we're able to solve that is essentially looking to shift Route 123 to the west. What that does is it opens up enough construction area for us to build the approach to the flyover and the flyover itself. What that also does, it provides us space to make an extension of Devil's Reach Road on the east side that would proceed in front of the gas station and the Prince William Marina and connect to a new signalized intersection at Admiral Drive. So under this concept, that approach really solves a lot of the access and business issues that we were seeing on the east side of 123. Similarly, we're looking to improve, based on everything that's been developed to date, access for folks over on the west side of 123, particularly the Devil's Reach neighborhood. Because the signal at Devil's Reach and 123 would be removed. And we're contemplating and proposing extending Devil's Reach through the park and ride to the signalized intersection at Old Bridge. That would give full access back to that neighborhood from Old Bridge to make up for the lost movement with the removal of the signal. This concept also maximizes the weave space available for vehicles that are exiting I-95 and want to take the flyover to get to Old Bridge, and really satisfies all those safety operations components of the project that were identified as the primary issues to be solved. So with this concept, and again, we are at that concept stage, as a couple of people have mentioned, there is still a long way to go, and we'll talk a little bit about what the process will be moving forward. Under this concept, we anticipate that we likely would still have up to 2 business relocations, but this is significantly less than what's been shown in all the other concepts developed to date. So as things move ahead, we would continue to try to refine and minimize those impacts and try to look at each property and make sure we're doing the best job we can to maintain or improve access.
And if I could just have a second remark here, I think overall what I want to talk about is what we had to look at. Again, I told you at the beginning, we had to look at safety, we had to look at the throughput and the volume coming through here. But then, as a community, you guys told us you wanted to look at right-of-way and access. And not just right-of-way and access for business, but we're improving the access to the townhouse community by having a signal at that access. We are providing the access necessary for the 2 businesses that we are now not taking because we pushed everything down the other opposite way and continue to have access down to the businesses below. We also pushed the ramp, the right ramp, as far in as possible to the existing ramp to minimize the impact to the back of the townhouses and to minimize the environmental impact to these streams and to this piece of land that we heard was very important to the people in this neighborhood and to the environment. So we are trying to, by this design, get to not just one person's or our specific group's desires, but to the desire of what the project is supposed to look at. Safety, throughput, and again now, community impacts, access, and right-of-way. And this is what we have come up with to show you tonight to try to get to a little bit of those issues. Thank you, Mike.
So these next 2 slides are the same renderings that you see in the back of the room here. What we wanted to do was lay out a perspective view for you all so you can envision a little bit better what this flyover alternative would look like. So on this graphic, we're standing back above the park and ride. You can see the flyover from 123 up and over and back down to Old Bridge. And the second rendering is just a different perspective over on the Devil's Reach on the Marina side, looking back up towards the intersection. And what you see here is that extension of Devil's Reach that we described up to the new signalized intersection serving the Devil's Reach extension and the townhouse community, as well as the other item of note here we have, we'll be including a shared use path along that side of the road too, so that we can get all of the multimodal connectivity. This slide is just a blow-up of a potential connection that I mentioned of extending Devil's Reach on the west side of 123 through the commuter lot. This is again, like everything, this is a concept. We'll have to do a lot of coordination with VDOT to make sure that the impacts to the lot are acceptable and that we're maximizing the spaces should they be needed. So again, this is just kind of an overview of a lot of the things that I've been saying here. This alternative really achieves those project goals of addressing congestion and safety. It shifts Route 123 to the west to improve the constructability as well as minimize impacts and improve access. Devil's Reach on both sides of the road is improved to again improve neighborhood connectivity and access. And the constructability with that shift is drastic compared to a lot of the other alternatives that have been studied to date. And again, we do anticipate up to 2 business relocations. And I'll hand it back to Rami. Thank you all.
So following this public information meeting, the next steps is to continue receiving comments from you. That's why we have the comment cards. You continue emailing us and contact your elected officials. And we will refine our concept as best we can from the comments that we received. We heard a lot of great suggestions and comments prior to this meeting, and it's very beneficial to hear firsthand the individual cases where sometimes you don't get that just when we're doing email exchange and virtual meetings. Following that, we will continue coordinating with VDOT and evaluate the concept design, because it's very important that as we develop these designs and try to meet the aspirational goals of the community, we still have to meet the standards laid out by VDOT, and that's very important. Following that, we will advance to the preliminary design phase, which will be accompanied by environmental studies and a more detailed traffic analysis, which includes an interchange access report. This will give us more clarity on whether the concepts that we laid out will actually indeed improve traffic conditions, because sometimes just intuition can only take you so far. So we're going to look even more in depth with a harsher perspective and have VDOT provide more input on that. Following that, we will, again, advance to the preliminary design stage, and we will continue with more public outreach. This is not the last time we will be hearing from you, and you'll not the last time that you'll be hearing from us. We will have another public information meeting soon, and after that, public hearing. And with that, here is the anticipated project schedule. I'll give you some time to look at that. Following this public information meeting, the concepts will be refined based off of the public comments, as well as through further VDOT coordination. We will advance the preliminary design phase with more traffic analysis, more detailed traffic analysis, and environmental studies. And following that, we will, at around fall of next year, we're anticipated to hold another public information meeting in which we will have the outcomes from the preliminary design and the environmental studies and traffic analysis. And everything after that, assuming that we get the funds needed, because we're anticipating to get federal funding from this, following this phase, we will have another public hearing, anticipated public hearing in the spring of 2025. Following that is the completion of the final design, and then the right-of-way acquisition and utility relocation, and the anticipated completion of the construction of the project, which is expected to be at around 2028, 2029.
Everybody, I just wanted to emphasize a couple of things out of this slide that Rami kind of went through in very detail, but I want to just emphasize the main points. Number one, we're a concept. This is a design concept. We have no engineering behind us except for the geometry that we got work from RDA and what we worked on from what you gave us. We're trying to get to a place where if everybody feels comfortable with the concept, the board feels comfortable with the concept, the county and VDOT, who is going to take this road and have this road, and it's going to be their road, are comfortable with the concept, we can then move forward to this design stage. And right now, we only have enough money to have RDA take us to about a 30% design, which gets us back to a public hearing to show you what we found through the design process, including environmental impacts, including, because like you mentioned, it's a federal project, so we are planning to do an EPA on this. There will be an EPA done on this. She said, we're not there yet. We are at the very beginning, and I just want to continue to emphasize, we're at the very beginning of the process. We took a step back to listen to everybody and make sure that we have a concept that the community, the county, the board, VDOT all feel comfortable. With that said, everything beyond that 30% design is anticipated because we have no right-of-way construction. We only have enough funds to get to that 30%. So until we get those funds, we're stuck at this 30% design, and we're gonna have to continue to bug the feds and the state and our regional partners to give us funding to get this important project going. And I want to emphasize that this what you're seeing up here, this schedule you see up here, it's all dependent on funding. We're only getting you guys into a design of this. I'll finish it up. Just so everybody knows, general transportation information, please go to our website. We have it available there. You can just reach us at PWCDOT.org/transportation. And if you need or have additional questions, we do have comment sheets outside. We do have a website where you can comment. We will have comments that we will take up to October 4th. If you can't get to us on October 4th, get to us. We'll still consider your comments. We're moving on this project very slowly. Like I said, we're trying to get to the design phase and to our board public hearing. With that said, we are at the point where we would be happy to take some questions and answers. We only have the room until, what time do we have to look up, 8:30? 8:30, and then we have to clean up by 9 o'clock. But we have that much time for question and answer. With that said, we'll start, and I just want to make sure we introduce everybody. I do have Katash Shamoof here today with me. He is my assistant director. He is the guy in charge of the division that does the design, construction, and right-of-way utility location for projects in the county. So he is my man in charge. Again, we've met the two gentlemen here, but we also have Tony Dean, who works for RDA, who's also here. He's part of the design team. Paul Bolita, I know some of you met him. He's our assistant director in charge of planning, and he's the one who's out looking for funding for this project. So we have a big team here to answer your questions. We can start wherever you'd like here, and we'll have Paul send a microphone so everybody can kind of hear you. See if we can make that work. We'll go to the road. Keep been raising your hands. We'll go to you after that.
I just wanted to know if I could see the pictures online, and I believe you answered that.
Yes, ma'am. We posted those today. So from now on, once you go into that website, you'll be able to see the pictures we have tonight. We wanted to have our big reveal here at this public hearing. We literally have been working up to the last minute to make sure that VDOT was okay with this. The public was okay with, supervisor okay with it. I know some of you found out about a week ago, but that's as early as we've had a chance to discuss it. But tonight, it has gone up on the website. You'll be able to comment on it. Like I said, by October 4th, hopefully, but if not, let us know and we'll keep your comments beyond it. The gentleman, oh, we have to start. Oh, that's fine. No, it's okay. One more wait, sir. Sorry.
Linda and I signed the coalition letter, and there's many coalition partners here. We had aspirational goals in the design, and I was pleased to see some of those were considered. Because the devil's in the details of the engineering. So, we'll be getting together with the coalition and forming a thoughts. But I did want to ask about, could you walk us through pedestrian connectivity issues? We have the Occoquan Fall Festival. People put their cars or take the buses down and walk into the town this coming weekend. How, with whatever we end up with, can you just give us a conceptual movement for pedestrians?
And Dr. Jack, just so you know, we haven't finalized that yet. That was actually a big comment that we received from VDOT. I know that we do have pedestrian facilities planned for this entire area here. I think the major issue has become this intersection here and how we deal with that. And VDOT has made a point to give us that comment, and we'll be looking into that as we look into the design. Again, we're a concept and we're trying to get to the road aspect of it and to make sure we include the pedestrian, but haven't completed all the pedestrian impacts. Thank you. No, the gentleman in the back.
Yeah, I have a question. Have you thought about when you take the exit from 95 and going directly over the commuter lot, because the purpose is to land on Old Bridge Road. If you move over the commuter lot, then you won't be doing any construction, any ramps in the middle of the intersection. That will take years, it will be a nightmare for our community. So if you go directly from exit over the communal lot, over the Exxon gas station, and you land on Old Bridge Road, you ever thought about that?
Yeah, so we do have tough geometric constraints, and to get one of the driving factors here is when you come off of I-95, in order to take that ramp to Old Bridge, flyover, we need space for those vehicles to weave, because you'll have northbound 123 traffic trying to shift over, and you'll have traffic from I-95 that does not want to go to Old Bridge trying to shift over one lane as well. So we've got to maximize the distance. And then you can see from this drawing, just to help you visualize a bit, in order for us to get that elevation change that we need to get up and over 123, it's this entire distance here, from about the Devil's Reach intersection today to where we show this bridge in blue on the drawing. So that's about to help visualize the distances. And so to try to do that in a fashion that would, and I think I followed correctly, but you're trying to get from 95 and go through the commuter lot area instead. And that's really the item that we can't overcome there, is how we deal with the weave and how we get up high enough, early enough, or southward enough on 123 to do what you described.
Good evening, my name is Amy Barnes, I live in Occoquan. I remain concerned about the segmentation that is occurring in this project under the National Environmental Policy Act regulations. It is clear from what is being said tonight, you're closely connected to VDOT and their project. NEPA regulations require that the project be looked at cumulatively as a whole, and I really am concerned that by your delay, which I understand because of funding, that you feel that this is still conceptual, we are not getting, as a public, a full understanding of the whole impact of this project to the area, to the environment, and to human health. I especially am concerned about this in light of the fact that NEPA is intended as a planning document, and it encourages agencies to use it at an early stage to help inform the decision-making process. So, in my mind, this is a great time for you guys to pair with VDOT to talk about how what they're doing feeds into some of your alternatives and say what additional information are we going to get out of this that could help our decision-making, that maybe this preferred alternative is still the preferred alternative, or maybe another option is a better alternative for both a traffic flow, VDOT flow, and an environmental flow. And yes, I do this professionally because you guys are all giving me stuff gloves.
Thank you. So the VDOT project, the I-95-123 interchange, that is considered a different project, and that does have its own NEPA document being developed associated with that project separately. As we mentioned, this project is being done in accordance with federal requirements, so we will be doing the NEPA document. And to your point of whether that would tell us that we're selecting the right alternative, that's entirely true. Part of both the NEPA process that we will go through in the next stage of design, both the NEPA process and the interchange access report, which is the more detailed traffic, both of those efforts involve reviewing all of the different options that are available to us so that from both the traffic and environmental perspectives, we are making the right selection.
Thank you for your question, and I actually am part of the VDOT Occoquan, but I do also be part of the team at VDOT for the progressive design that they're doing at 123 and
Just making sure you understand that we're very connected to that project, understand what it is. It's just that we're much different timelines, much different process, and much different, but as you can tell, since that NEPA has been done, and we have this NEPA coming up, as he's telling you, we won't consider that NEPA as part of this process and have them take a look at it.
It does allow for phased projects, and this is essentially a phased project, and what you are doing meets the very legal definition of segmentation. NEPA is not my agency, and I'll end it there because this is a day I can get in with you and start citing cases.
Yes, thank you for your comment, and we'll look into that with our federal agencies and make sure that we're doing the right thing, okay? Anybody else have a question here? Gentleman in the, oh, sorry. Gentleman in the red.
I'm calling from Prince William Marina. I'm calling from Prince William Marina, and I looked at this, and you say the 95 exit for the read is too close to it, but I'm told by everybody that the exit of 95 is to be moved east, I believe. Yeah, it'll be moved east by several hundred foot. That would help the read problem. I'm also told the engineering community lot because VDOT said it's a highly used parking lot. It's not so, it's a lie. I hate the parking lot, but it is a lie. I spent 2 months of my life every morning, every afternoon going to that parking lot and checking, seeing and bought cars on it. I have a this over here. Right now, you've got a junkyard center. You've got food trucks, you've got cars, you've got trucks, you've got commercial vehicles. That lot is not used, it should be used for this project.
Thank you for your comments, sir. As was explained earlier, it's very difficult to try to make that happen through the lot. What we have done, though, in taking your advice and what you have asked for, is we have moved the improvement over from pushing out this way towards the marina, push towards the lot. So we are affecting the lot in the matter. You see the green area here, that is affecting the lot. The movement that we're going to try to make here, that is affecting the lot. So we are affecting the lot in a way that you asked us to say, why aren't you using some of this VDOT land? Well, we are trying to do so, but in an engineering manner. So like our engineer explained here today, you can't go over the lot. There's not enough time for the weed movement to happen over that. So the improvements have to happen a little further up. But we are using that lot to make sure that you're able to continue to have not only full access here, but continue to have your parking lot with an access road, be able to keep the gas station here, and be able to continue to have that access. It goes down to the marina at a now signalized intersection. So we kind of taken what you showed us in a way to get access. We just did it in a different way that went along with the other aspects and goals that we had to meet up with.
But you were saying to move the exit further to give you more room to get up.
Right, that's what VDOT told us they were going to do.
Thanks for that comment. And the concept we're displaying here actually does take advantage of VDOT's project moving those ramps. On the screen here and on the displays in the back, the VDOT project is represented in the orange outline. So that shows the general purpose lane off-ramp tie-in point moving from around this location all the way back to here. So we're taking advantage of the extra distance that's being created by the VDOT project to improve that weave area before we need to start our flyover work.
That's going to be a pretty simple light.
There will not be there would not be a signal at Devil's Reach any longer.
No, sir.
No.
It's a flow movement. Gentleman in the red.
The driver who drives this road every day, has there been any studies done on timing these lights? Because right off the bat, as soon as you go to make a right onto 123, the Devil's Reach Road turns red, which causes a major backup all the way through. If either that light would be eliminated and Devil's Reach would be terminated there as a dead end, the flow would just move a lot better off than it is now. So has there been any studies on light timing?
Sir, VDOT controls the signals. We are here with them. They continually make sure that that light timing is looked at for the periods of the weekends, the periods of...
It's terrible, sir.
That we can ask them again through our department. We can ask them to take a look at
You
it
need to
again.
look into that before you spend taxpayer dollars on this monstrosity.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Debbie, and I live in the Moorings of Occoquan. My question is, the people that are doing these designs, I need to know, do you guys live and drive these roads every day like we do, or is this just like, are you getting computer models? Kind of like I want to put you all on a bus and make you, ride with me every day for a month, so you can see how this traffic really flows and where the real problems are.
Yes, I drive it every day. I live in this county. I live on Davis Ford Road. I go down to Route 1 to see all my projects all the time. I come up and rush down to make sure I do it.
Are you the
I've done it
engineer
every day
designer?
at different times. You asked me a question, ma'am, and I'm answering your question. The answer is yes. I drive these roads every day.
Sorry, what's your name, sir?
Rick Canizales, I'm the Director of Transportation here in the county. So, but the answer to your question is yes, and I do understand the problems here, and that's why I mentioned earlier, what we're trying to solve here is the weave issue. We're trying to solve a traffic issue. At the same time that we're trying to solve that, we're trying to make sure that we're trying to impact the community the least. This is a project that has been given to us by the County Board of Supervisors and by the voters of Prince William County. And I don't know if I mentioned this to everybody earlier, that this project was part of the 2019 bond referendum that went to the voters and was voted at 72% to do. So 72% of the people here in Prince William County said that they wanted this project done here. So I just wanted to make sure that you understand the priority that we're following is just the guidance of the board, the guidance of the public, and we are just trying to implement a project here that will meet VDOT standards and that will meet the community needs, and at the same time continue to look at access and right.
I just asked a question.
Yeah,
You gave
no,
it
I
to
was
me.
hoping I was
Thank
just getting
you.
a response.
Yes,
You're
it's
welcome.
fine, thank you.
Ma'am, can we get, oh, I'm sorry. You're next.
Hi, my name is Nemo. I am the most controversial engineer. I'm the owner of Cable Tire. I'm my building. And honestly, this is going to make a lot of people not happy. Over 20 to 30,000 customers coming to Cable Tire. We help the community a lot with the tax, try to create jobs in the town. And now we try to take my building out. This is not going to make a lot of people unhappy. My consider is, if we can find any other solution to avoid taking business out, I really appreciate it.
We'll be happy to talk to you about being able to keep you here in Prince William County, relocating you, making sure you're in a place that you can continue to do business, and that's what we're trying to do. So if this project moves forward, I empathize with you, and you deserve all this applause for the business you started here in Prince William, and we will help you continue to have your business here in Prince William. If this happens, we will make sure we take care of you. Okay? Thank you. Thank you for your comments, and we'll continue to be talking. Yep. Any other questions? Ma'am?
About the flyover, and I heard someone say earlier that they're still going to have that weaving issue, even with the people who want to get on and turn on the Old Road and people want to go straight. So will that weaving, even with the flyover, you're still going to be part of it?
I'll let you answer. The quick answer to your question is the weaving will be minimized. It will be minimized to an aspect of you're only weaving between one lane to another instead of weaving 3 lanes across that I'll let Martin.
You actually, when you come on, you don't need to weave over 3 lanes. You can weave over 1, but you're going to be having people coming at a higher rate of speed off the freeway. There's no traffic lights, and they're going to be coming over the flyway. And then it looks like there's a stoplight right at the end. So, I mean, you're going to have the weaving issue with people driving faster. which I think will be
Traffic light would fix it.
Yeah, so the way those movements will work, and again, we're maximizing that area available to the folks who do need to leave. If you come from the general purpose lanes in 95 and you want to go to Old Bridge, you'll simply stay in the lane that 95 brings you into. You'll already be on the outside lane. That will take you up and over the flyover.
At what speed?
What speed?
At what speed will that be?
Oh, so the main line of Route 123 is a 40 mile per hour design speed. We anticipate the ramp being designed at 30.
Right.
And so you do still have a lead. We're maximizing the distance available for those two lanes that may have to shift over one position.
Another question here?
So let's get close. Hey, Adam Boyd, I live down the road off Old Bridge, but I'm trying to absorb all this stuff. I don't have all the background, but I'm understanding this VDOT project and this I-95 lane thing, almost overlapping with what we have color changes on here, it looks like. And yes, there's the whole legal argument. Trying to appreciate all of this context. Let me just ask you a question that comes to my mind when I drop my phone. While we're doing all this work, we're trying to address a weaving problem. What? And we're spending this kind of money doing this kind of massive change. When you're coming off of 95, while you're on that ramp, a local, 123 traffic go left and Old Bridge Road traffic go to the right, Y interchange on that off ramp would avoid that whole weaving problem. And compared to what we're talking about here, if we're doing all this already, it would seem like it would be obviously a few years later, but if you kind of anticipate that with the state, perhaps tie that together and address this weaving issue you keep talking about. That would be great.
When you come out of the lane, you can either stay on that lane or reach to that next lane to continue. That's what the weeds that we're talking about. I mean, there's a choice. You can either go to Old Bridge or you can stay on 123 going north. So that is really the weed that we're talking about. So if you're a driver coming from Route 1 on 123 and your destination is Old Bridge, you're probably going to stay to the right in order to take that exit and go to Old Bridge. But if you're going to continue on 123 north, then you can just stay on either one of those two lanes. That's the weed. So it's not you're weeding 3 lanes to get to the left lane. It's just a 1 lane weed.
Still a lane, maybe it could be avoided.
Yeah, and we understand what you're saying. It's just one of those things that was not a possibility. The state went forward with their project. This is a conceptual thing that the county was coming up with, and they did not have the money to fund it. So we're just kind of stuck here right now. And like I mentioned to everybody earlier, we're stuck here until we get money. And this is, I don't even know how many millions it is yet. Actually, after this redesign, just know that, what we're doing here, what we're trying to accommodate the community here with is going to make this project more expensive. So this is something that's going to be more expensive. Back to the gentleman's point. That
Why don't you put the light back farther?
But at the same time, we're trying to listen to everybody's comments, and we're trying to take all goals into consideration in moving this forward. Sir, Paul, where are you? The gentleman in the back, and then come back to the gentleman in the red that has another comment. Thank you.
Okay. So I've heard about the community plan. I did hear that this isn't the original proposal. This is the amended version. I don't think I've heard the justification for the amendment. And the justification why this is be ranked and is in a preferred solution, because this is, again, coming from the community.
Yeah, thanks. So what that exhibit represents, and what we'll bring up on the screen here too, is taking the concept that was provided by the Community Coalition and really analyzing that and applying all of the design standards that we would need in order to gain ultimate approval and acceptance of the project. And when we did that, as we mentioned, as we really looked in detail at the geometry and the different movements and typical section. There's a lot of challenges with it, so we relaid it out with more of a more detailed engineering, and you can see the result, which unfortunately is an expanded footprint versus what was originally provided.
Gentlemen, ready? I'm good. I'm just curious. I guess I'm just curious if there's been any kind of study on the light. I really didn't get an answer on that. If you move the lane back to the bridge on 123 and let the exit lane exit L traffic, it would flow. It would just flow.
So the answer to your question is, we have not done one yet because we've gotten to concept. But like we told you during the presentation, the next step is to do environmental and traffic. And now we'll take a look at that and see if this is, like you mentioned, even me.
Okay,
at that point, we'll look at that in detail at that point. We are in straight geometry and concept here. Gentlemen, I'm sorry, yes, gentlemen.
My name is Supervisor Boddye. I live over on Prince William Parkway by the county. In order for me, whenever I have to go to DC, in order for me to avoid all the traffic on 95, I would have to go over on Old Bridge Road and basically take Old Bridge Road down just to get to 95. Instead of spending all this taxpayer dollars and going through this mega project, why don't you guys just focus on fixing 95, so me, where I live on Prince William Parkway, I don't have to take a shortcut and go through all this in order just to get to 95. If 95 is fixed, it'll solve a lot of the problems.
I would love 95 to be fixed. I agree with you. We have our VDOT representatives here. We have our VDOT representatives here, and they have heard you. But our VDOT is in charge of interstates. The county has nothing to do with those. We agree with you. We're big proponents of adding lanes. We were a big proponent of that project that just happened out there to extend the lane from 123 out to the Parkway. And we're a big proponent of getting that bridge widened. But that is not our responsibility. But yes, you are correct, and I hope we can do that soon. Thank you for your comment.
I have a concept, and why can't you do it the same way as 610? You move that light back, make it where they get the ramp that goes straight over into Stepper Marketplace, like it would be coming to us. Then make a lane going straight down 123, and then make the other lane where they turn to go to Walmart and everything, and there is a median right there. It's two medians. One to separate the eastbound and westbound, and then the other one separates the left turns from the people going straight. You avoid all of that overpass.
Yeah.
I apologize, but I'm not visualizing what
Oh, I interrupt you.
We'll do it. Yeah, you can go ahead and go on. We're going to continue with questions. Anybody else have a question? Any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
You just woke up a new lane for 95 where we go. Well, it's really not working on that. I have to get on 95 every evening. They still go down the exit and stop to merge on the 95. There's zero signage. It sucks. It makes no sense.
They're here to listen to you tonight, man, so they're around here somewhere.
We got, I pay a lot of money, so listen clearly.
We'll wait for this drawing here, but I do want to take the time to, we got one more comment here. I've got several comments. I know that eastbound 123, and they go
basically that's a right turn, moving it, right turn. That gets backed up all the way to the prison. So now, what's going to open out? Nothing.
This ramp. We're here, we're creating a brand new ramp to take care of that traffic and move on the street movement.
It's not a right, it's a right turn right now whenever you want to make a right turn.
Sure, the ramp gets ahead and pulls that turn lane back, all the way back to a little further, so people can catch it before they get in that traffic. That's what we're trying to do to improve it at least, so that's our.
Right turn lane, open all the time, back up all the way.
That's what we're creating a ramp for, that pulls it back, so people can grab their own. I just want to say we will stick around till 8:30 at the different posters here and different graphics. If you have any questions for our engineers, we appreciate the time you're taking to be with us here tonight. We do have comment forms. We have the website. We have comments available till October 4th, and again, we will accept them beyond that. We appreciate your time being here, and again, we will continue to come to you as we continue to develop this, as this is just the very beginning of this process.